Hi, this is Julie Espinoza, your host for the podcast Use Your Power Show. Use Your Power is brought up to you by revuptx. RevUp stands for Register, Educate, Vote, Use Your Power. We want you to like and subscribe, share this video, and use your power. If you find this helpful, please let us know that you're taking action. We have two wonderful presenters today. Both are with the Personal Attendant Coalition of Texas, and they have been working for a long time, I don't know how many years, on the attendant care crisis going on in Texas. I am self-describing myself as a female with shoulder-length brown hair, sitting at a computer desk. And I want to now turn it over to Nancy Crowther, co-lead with Personal Attendant Coalition of Texas. She's going to self-describe herself.
I'm Nancy Crowther, co-leader, and I am round, white-faced woman with all silver hair and blue t-shirt, and the background of my office is blurred.
I'm Cathy Cranston, and I'm a brown-skinned woman wearing eyeglasses. I have black hair, black and gray hair, wearing a multicolored shirt with a pin that says "Raise it to 15" for community attendance. Sitting at a table with the backdrop of a refrigerator and a window.
Cathy, can you tell us about PACT, how
Sure.
that started, and what you guys are doing for the disability community?
Sure. PAC started in 2005, and we started out of necessity. There was no, other than Adaptive Texas, no other organization that actually was leading the way to increase the base wages for our community attendants that serve people with disabilities. And so we started in 2005. And since then to now, it's been decades, and we've been fighting to increase that wage. Back then, I believe it was, what was it, Nance? I guess whatever minimum wage was. And slowly we were able to incrementally increase it from minimum wage, maybe it was 6 something or 7 to 8.11 now. And it's been kind of uphill battle, but we have made some headways. And this session, actually, this is a really good session, and not just because there's a surplus. The base wage is heading in the right directions. There's several riders and bills that are directed to increasing it to a $15 base wage. So with that, if Nancy, if you care to add anything to that, please do so.
We've been very active in probably every aspect of government that I know of to get the word out about $15 and what the impact is on the lives of people with disabilities who depend on attendance to help them in their homes. If it weren't for my attendant, I wouldn't be up in front of this monitor this morning. I wouldn't be dressed either. But I've depended upon an attendant for over 40 years, and I'm used to it. It's a part of my life. It's how I've gotten as far as I am. But having seen all the work we're doing and knowing that it does take raising your voice, taking action, because 15 is what we need in order to be able to recruit and retain our attendants.
And so what has the response been to this need for action from the disability community? Are people comfortable saying, I need my attendant to be paid $15 an hour?
This is Cathy, and what we have seen in the different hearings that have taken place, there was the Senate Finance and the House Appropriations hearings several weeks ago. There has been an outcry regarding the base wage, and it's coming from all the different populations of people with disabilities, which is awesome. Actually, it's been the greatest that I have seen in all of the legislative sessions, the outcry for this increase. And I think that we have to continue to do so. And so that's part of what we're going to be talking about is our call to action, so that more people with disabilities can get involved, and we know that many people, they live throughout the state that receive services and cannot get to the Capitol. And so we want to make it easy, just pick up that phone and give your specific legislator, as well as specific legislators that are making these decisions and that will be making the decisions about how much to put in.
So when you look at how big this crisis, this problem is, and you look at the number of people that are picking up the phone and making that call, I'm sure there's a lot of people that need this action, but they're not doing anything. Why do you think they're not picking up the phone and fighting for the attendant wages that their life depends upon?
Nancy, you want to handle that?
I think they're afraid. They think their voice would not be heard. I think they've never done anything against authority to raise their voice. And this does take, a little bit of effort to call or click a button for a letter to your legislator, but it makes such a big impact. When they start hearing from their constituents, which we all are, over 300,000 right now in home and community services, 300,000. What if they all got a call? So we're saying call, write, contact, do whatever you can and support the $15 an hour wage for your attendants, because even if you don't use an attendant right now, you will eventually end up doing that.
So do you think a lot of people think that if they complain, they might end up not having the services? Do you think that's part of the fear? You said they were afraid because it was such a bold thing to do, or afraid of not being listened to, or being, I think sometimes people with disabilities feel like they're lucky to get whatever they get, don't complain.
Yeah.
But they have to change that mental outlook to where it's not about charity, it's about advocating and speaking up for the attendant. I mean, the attendant takes care of them, they have to take care of the attendant. And that's a mental shift that I'm sure you have witnessed over, over and over. And imagine the things that could change if someone had that light bulb moment and realized they had power in their voice in Texas. If that happened, what would be the best follow-up step if they started calling? And of course, then they're going to want to know, well, did they listen? Did they increase the wage? What if they have difficulty with their voice? Is it an easier entryway to email? And is there a way to help people with email or letter writing campaigns?
Yes, any way that you can make communication to the legislator is always accepted. We've got the 711 for persons who are deaf or hard of hearing. We've got email, which has just really been very helpful because we've been able to get a lot of folks to send letters, and all they have to do is push a button and send.
Okay.
So it's been.
Hey, so how do they get that information from you? How do they get these emails from you? How do they get these phone numbers?
These
How
phone
does PACT
numbers.
help them? I
Yep.
mean, I'm sure you kind of mentor them and how to do this. So do they need to call you personally
I
to
was
get
going to
this
say,
information?
actually, they can call us at 512-442-0252. And they can ask for Cathy or Nancy or leave their name and their contact information, and we'll get back with them. And so, because we're housed with Adaptive Texas, who's our mother organization. So, yeah.
So it's not just people with disabilities that can do this. It's also advocates, family members, attendants,
Yes.
family members.
Yes.
So we really, everybody affected by this problem should get connected with PACT and get trained how to use their power. Because you
But
can't.
also even friends or people that don't even use attendant services could call and tell them, you know what, these workers, there's women organizations that advocate for women. Those organizations could call and use their name, because the more that our legislators hear from, not just us, because we've been going down there for a long time, but other people need to contact them. And I do know that they understand that the seriousness of this, but really, I mean, it affects not just the individual that's receiving the services, it affects the attendant, it affects the attendant's family, their children. I mean, it's just we're all interconnected. And this kind of job is definitely, I depend on the person that I serve, and they depend on the assistance that I give them. And so we're interconnected. So yeah.
Also, too, I just want to say the impact on the economy.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cheap to live at home. My future, should there not be any attendance available, is only options a nursing home. Costs 3 times as much, and it's not as much fun as my house. So I'm just saying that having used attendance, it's a wonderful thing. You raise their wages. That goes back into the economy, because what are they going to do? Spend money. So I just want to make sure people realize the fiscal impact, both on the person and also on our economy in the state of Texas for $15 an hour.
So you guys have a lot of contact with attendants around the state. Do you find that they are as afraid or inexperienced as people with disabilities are with speaking up and asking for this wage increase?
Yes, they are. And I think, I mean, I remember when I first started, which was way before we started PACT, but I had a hard time speaking because, I mean, it just is. If people are not used to being heard, and then when somebody tells you, hey, why don't you do this? And what we have found in all of the years of work is that there's power in number. And that's why we keep encouraging individuals, you can do it. And if somebody needs assistance in making that call, give us a call at 512-442-0252, and we'll assist you making that call, or emailing. But I've just learned through the years that you can empower yourself. And that's what, so wonderful about Rev Up too, register, educate, vote, use your power. That goes across all populations, whether you have a disability or not. We have to learn that if we want change to happen, we have to be proactive, and we are. So, yeah.
So what is the website people can go to? For PACT?
You can find us at www.adapt, ADAPTOFTEXAS.org. O-R-G.
I would love to hear from you guys if after this podcast, the numbers of people that contact you because they're ready to take action. So I really appreciate what you're doing. I use an attendant. I know everybody in my family as they age rely upon that. And there seems to be this belief that, oh, there'll always be somebody there to take care of you. And I don't know where that comes from because no, there's not. And a lot of times they think that if you have money to pay somebody, you'll be taken care of. Wrong. If there aren't attendants, there aren't attendants, no matter how much you're willing to pay them. It's a very important profession and is worthy of respect and deserves fair pay in Texas.
It's $15 an hour and nothing less will do.
And
Right
I
on.
understand that a lot of attendants, they don't get health insurance and they don't get vacation.
No.
And they become like very close. It's very close and they become almost like family. But because they're choosing that profession, they're being treated very poorly by the state of Texas. So basically, this podcast is a call for action for people
Yes, it is.
to use their power. And we want you to remember, what are your marching orders from Cathy and Nancy today? Let's recap. What are you, the viewer, going to do? Nancy, what are they going to do?
They're going to understand that they have a voice and they can use this voice either by calling or writing or being involved in the legislative session to help raise the wages for our attendants, everybody in Texas's attendance, to $15 an hour, as they're currently at $8.11. So they have a voice. We want people to use their voice and take action.
And so with that action, we will, there will be displayed on the screen the numbers of the Senate Finance Chairwoman, as well as the House Appropriation Chairman Bonnen's number, and several other key people, the Article 2 chairs, and as well as other numbers. And so please take action. And when you reach them, tell them that you want a $15 base wage for your community attendant. And if you want to share your personal story, if you're a recipient of services, please tell them why it's so important and that you want to stay in your home, which I'm sure you do. Just a little tidbit, my spouse uses personal attendant services as well. So this is very important to me personally, as well as my mother uses attendant services. So please take action and call your representative or your legislator.
I sense there's a very strong current of anger behind what you're doing. I know this is personal, you care about it. Can you tell me a little bit more about your feelings doing this work with PACT and the anger that you have when things aren't corrected that should be corrected?
I can't help but be angry that I've done a lot of work toward raising the wage and working with the Department of Health and Human Services and using my voice, and I'm not loud enough, maybe. So I've started to get other people involved. I started using other measures, emails, Facebook, getting people involved. We need more voices out there that say, hey, I use attendant care too. And if things don't change as far as the salaries going up to 15, what we're going to see in our crisis is a tsunami of lack of independence as you transition to a nursing facility, or, you know, everything we fought about in the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Olmstead decision, and also just the independent living movement. And I personally do not want to see that slide backwards. And so I need the help of our comrades in arms to keep pushing it and to get the wage up to 15.
Thank you. And Cathy, I know that you are clearly a very strong warrior. I know you've been working on this. I know you have had face-to-face meetings with our legislators explaining this, and still no results that protect our freedom, our independence. What ticks you off the most when you do everything you can and you know it can change? You have to keep going. You have to keep fighting. But tell me how you feel about this brick wall you keep hitting.
Well, we do hit the brick wall, but I know this session we have seen the most effort, and on their part, on the legislators' part, than the most movement that we ever have seen in the past. And so it can be, just by what you described, it could be, and it has been, demoralizing at times. But I choose, and I shouldn't say just we, those of us that have been in the trenches, we have to take that energy. And I'm going to say that you people out here, they're listening, have to take that energy to move it to the $15 base wage. Because if we sit back and we do take no action, it will become far worse. It will be what Nancy said. And all of us here that are listening on this podcast, and maybe some newcomers, a lot of work has been done decades ago by many of us here, as well as some people that aren't here, that have already passed on, that have gone on.
And
go ahead.
Work that they did was successful. This problem has a solution that worked well. They just didn't keep raising it. And I find that very frustrating when I think about how it's a proven model. It works. It's good for the state. It's good for the economy.
Absolutely.
And they messed it up by acting like it's okay. Why is it okay? That to me is very insulting. As a person
Absolutely.
with basic needs, that it's okay if my basic needs don't exist in the community. Sorry, I feel angry too.
That's all right. But we must use our anger to push them, to take that energy and make it happen. And the only way it'll happen is if everyone here listening gets involved, and then they tell their family members, and then we take action on that action alert that we're going to be displaying on the screen. So, yeah.
Yes, you're right. If everybody listening got 5 people that cares about them and their independence to complain, we would get results. Hopefully.
Absolutely.
I believe we would. That's what they're there for, to listen. So.
And to take action. So raise it to $15 for our community attendance.
Raise it to 15 for our community attendance.
Raise it to 15. Thank you both.